Hey, I'm Nolan. 7 years ago, I dislocated my C4, C5 while swimming in a lake. There were a lot of things to adjust to. Some things I would have never guessed would be difficult became very difficult.
It's Nolan's biggest dream right now to become independent. I hope that this study not only helps him to do that, but it also helps technology to advance in quadriplegics.
I'm really excited to be a part of this Neuralink project. I want to help out people down the road as much as I can. I mean, when I first actually moved the cursor with my mind, it blew my mind for like a whole day. And to be helping, to be able to be useful in some way, it completely changed how I live.
Hey there, welcome to Neura Pod, a channel covering all topics related to Elon Musk's brain interface company, Neuralink. This episode is a supercut version of Nolan's original hour-long speech at Neuralink's office in Fremont, California. Neuralink is extremely fortunate to have Nolan as an advocate for the company and the technology. He is funny, optimistic about the future, and able to give useful feedback to the team. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and please consider following on X and subscribing on YouTube to help us get more information out to more people about this inspiring company.
My name's Nolan. I'm obviously the first person with the Neuralink implant. Thank you. I think more than anything, I'm just impressed with all the work y'all have done. It's fantastic. I can't express enough how awesome all of y'all are and how much this is going to change the world. And I can only imagine where this is going to go. And y'all are really doing the coolest thing in the world. Like, I'm so happy to be a part of it. I feel so blessed to be a part of it. Like I said, I didn't do a whole lot to get selected. I just happened to align with everything that y'all wanted. Really, it was luck. At any point today, if y'all want to come talk to me, please come on up. I am basically like all of y'all, just with a bit of hardware in my skull, a bit more compute power, and that's about it.
Yeah, so Nolan is a very impressive person. I've spent probably 8 hours a day plus at their home the last month-ish. And I just want to acknowledge that none of this would happen without them. I mean, literally none of it. And it's a team effort the whole way. Yeah, and then I want to just talk briefly. It's sort of an impossible task to try to summarize the quantity of data and the impact that Nolan and his family have had over the last month, not just on Neuralink. I want to be clear, not just on Neuralink, but on the entire industry and what it means for the field in general. So I have a pretty impossible job of trying to summarize with a few statistics. So the first is we've done literally only 12 BCI sessions so far. We've done 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And for those of you who have worked in this field before, you know that this is not the usual thing to happen. You have experience with BrainGate or previous clinical trials. It's typically a couple days a week for a couple hours. By Monday morning, at usually around 11 a.m., we've usually surpassed what the normal is in terms of data collection for a week. The second thing I want to acknowledge is the amount of learning that we've taken away from those sessions. And so if you look at the next bullet point there, I asked Sammy to compute this, 271 pages of notes over those 12 BCI sessions. And it's to the degree that Google Docs actually doesn't load that document anymore. And we had to start splitting it up day by day. Nolan has a very unique ability to give us useful comments on what needs to change to make our product better. His parents, his friends have given us similar comments. And these are pages of notes on what we need to change to make it better going forward. This is invaluable data. Okay, now to the raw stats. So lifetime, Noland has selected 89,285 targets in WebGrid. There is no one in the same league. For reference, the maximum I think I've ever seen any living creature do is probably Pager before that, and it's in the low thousands. The total number of left clicks Nolan has done with this BCI, 111,000 left clicks. Right clicks, similar, 35,000 right clicks. Okay, now for the most important stat of all. And I've been playing chess with Nolan for the last month. incrementally as his BCI has improved. And I want to be very clear that Nolan will destroy me in any fair competition. Okay, it's not a close contest intellectually. However, when the BCI is not working well enough for him to beat me and the clock time is small enough, I have a chance. And so just for the record, Nolan has beaten me 7 times in chess and has only lost 4 times. So he's up 3 games. And it's, I think, in some ways the most important metric from the last month. And it's the number of hours of Civilization 6 played between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. using a BCI. And it's on the, or it's 7.6 hours of Civilization 6 played between those hours.
So there are a lot of problems that arise with using other assistive technology. Basically what would happen is, say I would using my mouth stick, and if y'all don't know what a mouth stick is, it's basically just a stick that I hold in my mouth. It has a little piece of fabric on the end of it basically, and I can use it to touch like my iPad or something. Y'all might not have seen it today. I have very bad spasms. I'm very spastic. My legs will kick, my whole body shifts to one side or the other, and so sitting in one position to use a mouth stick in front of an iPad is next to impossible. Getting to play Civ all night like that was something I haven't been able to do since my accident. It was amazing. It was so much fun. I was kicking ass. So it's just not possible with anything else that's out there. I've tried it all, eye tracking software, like there's so many different reasons why what y'all are doing is just going to change the world. It's going to change how people like me are able to just live their lives. It's incredible. I can't even describe it. I'm at a loss for words at the impact y'all are making.
All right, so I want to just briefly go through a few, at least moments that gave me goosebumps throughout this trial. The first one here is...
Whoa. Can you do that again?
Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, wow.
Right there, yep. I was just trying to move my wrist and I noticed a yellow spike and I thought it was super freaking cool. And so I showed them all and they were all really impressed, but it was awesome. It was really, really cool. Yeah.
So what you'll see in this video is Nolan actually exiting the calibration experience and getting control of the cursor for the first time. Well done.
Oh man. I think I can do better.
Just the last comment that Nolan had there, I think I can do better. It basically summarizes Nolan's summarizes his work during this entire last month.
It's good. No.
Whoa!
Focus it.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Congrats.
Oh, well done, man. Well done. He's a new world record holder. This happened on like hour 7.5 of that day. This is not a typical thing to have the kind of determination and grit required to do this. And it's just a remarkable testament to Nolan that on the very first day he had access to this thing, he blew the previous thing out of the water. It's ridiculous. And then, yeah, the last slide, I just want to return to the message I said at the beginning here, which is that this really, truly is a team effort. I think I'm one of the few people who's got to experience the full journey in Arizona with Nolan and his family and just got to see their dynamic, how much they care about each other, and how supportive they all are of not just the work we do, but of the impact it's going to have on the thousands of people that come next. So just one more round of applause for the whole gang.
I didn't know what Neuralink was 6 months ago. My buddy Bane, after my accident almost 8 years ago, he's a biology major. He ended up working in a neuroscience lab, and he got really into everything that y'all are doing. And about 5 months ago, he called me in the middle of the day and he was already kind of slurring his words. He told me that Neuralink had been approved by the FDA and y'all had opened up human clinical trials and that I should apply for it. And I was like, what the hell is Neuralink? Tell me about it. And he did. We went through the whole application process together. He spelled my name wrong on the application. So there's that. And I asked for an Iron Man suit, so any of you out there who can make that happen, come see me. But yeah, it was wild. And after that, basically, every step of the way, I just wanted to be the first person to get interviewed. I'm so lucky. Everything just lined up, like the stars aligned for this. Really crazy how fast everything happened. That day, I think it was like September 19th or something like that. And 5 months later, I was getting brain surgery. So it all happened pretty quickly, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I've been very open with my parents, my family about this whole process. I told them if they didn't want me to do it, I wouldn't be here. I ran everything by them, but they are the most supportive parents in the world. I don't think y'all understand how rare it is for a family to take on the role they have, to sacrifice so much just to make me comfortable. People in my position don't really get that a whole lot. There's not enough words to say how much I appreciate everything they've done for me. And so this whole process, I walked through with them everything that was happening and that could happen. I was very blunt about all of the downsides to a surgery, and they just wanted to support me in whatever I decided. It was not an easy decision. I mean, I wanted to do it from day one once I started hearing about it and I started learning more and more about it. But I definitely took time to step back and evaluate all of the downsides that I could be bringing to my family. But like I said, they are so supportive. I wouldn't be here without them. They deserve all the credit through all of this, and I'm just so blessed to have them.
What does it feel like to move the cursor with your mind?
Freaking wild. It's hard to explain, honestly. Like, so much of what I feel is impossible to get others to understand. So like right now, I can feel myself moving my index finger. It's not moving, but I can feel it. Seeing that translate onto a screen and being able to move a cursor is just, it's such a wild, wild feeling. There's a connection there, I feel like I'm showing people like how amazing this technology is by just thinking. That's crazy. I remember when I first got control and I was moving it with my mind. So there's a difference between like attempting to move it versus imagining to move it. Attempting, I feel like, is when I attempt to move something, it does feel like I'm moving it with, say, my hand or my wrist, even though you can't see it. To me, I can feel things in my arm moving around, maybe that you just can't understand, I guess. When I first moved it just by thinking, it blew my mind for like a day. Like, I just could not wrap my head around it. It feels very cool. I'll say that. Yeah, I don't know. If that probably doesn't answer your question, but it's kind of a very difficult thing to answer. I don't know. Sorry.
Is there anything that surprised you about the whole process?
Yeah, how fast it was. Y'all move at light speed. Like it was crazy. Like you don't go from applying for something to brain surgery in 5 months. Like that just doesn't happen. At least not in my experience. It was crazy how fast everything moved. Just kind of blew my mind. Also just how awesome everyone is. Like everyone that I've met has just been so impressive, like so amazing, and y'all are so accommodating to me and my family. Like every step of the way, it's been amazing. You should be very proud of like what you've built here and the people that y'all have chosen to have around. It's just like y'all are among some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life, and like that shouldn't be just kind of glossed over, I guess. Y'all are really incredible. So thank you for everything.
You know, you're the first patient to have received one of our devices. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to the second patient?
Going into this, all I ever wanted was to help people. Obviously, there's a lot of upside that comes with this. In the consent forms and everything that I signed, basically they flat out say there's no upside to this. And I'm like, that's a lot of BS. Like, there's a lot of upside. Anything could go wrong at any moment. You know, you could be out of this study at the drop of a hat, basically. So don't, put too much stock in what you're going to get out of this. I've glimpsed what the possibilities are, and now it's hard to live any other way. So I would say to the next patient, the next candidate, just to enjoy it as much as possible. It is so much fun working with y'all. Like 8 hours of work feels like nothing. And I know that y'all might look at me and think, are we pushing him too hard? Like 8 hours a day is a lot. Like it doesn't feel like that. So I just hope that the next patients appreciate like what they're being allowed to be a part of and appreciate the people around them and just have fun. Because it is a lot of fun. I just want people to understand like how lucky they are to be a part of this, just as I've realized how lucky I am. I think that's what I would say.
What are some capabilities you'd like to see in future iterations of the device?
I mean, I know that there are a lot of things that y'all have planned, so all of that. I mean, the Optimus robot sounds so cool. It'll change specifically quadriplegics' lives. Having a full-time nurse is something that is not possible for people like me. I am so lucky that I have my parents and, you know, my brother and other people who work with me around the clock, but most people don't have that. But imagine having self-driving car and an ability to get in the car and have someone get you out and stuff. Like, if I could do all of that without needing other people, just everything that improves, you know, independence, quality of life, I can just see the possibilities. And I know that for me already, it's been amazing, but I know where this can go. It's just going to keep growing and growing exponentially. And what is possible is it's just going to keep expanding. Y'all are going to keep changing people's lives. It's going to be amazing. I've thought that if this all works out, it would benefit Elon to put me on Mars. If I could control like an army of Optimus robots, that's way better than anything y'all could do. So I would be so useful.
Speaking to your recovery after surgery, in the days after that, were there any parts of that were particularly difficult, or any parts that you expected to be hard that were easier than you thought they would be?
Brain surgery was easy, man. I was expecting a much longer recovery time, and they kicked me out of the hospital like a day later. Like, you don't need to keep me for observation or anything. They're like, no, you're good. Put some Aquaphor on it, you'll be fine. Don't wear hats for a while. It's like, okay, like that was the hardest thing I experienced, honestly. It was so easy. Like, I went into that surgery, 2 hours later I was out. I was drugged up on, you know, anesthesia for like a couple hours. And after that, I was ready to go. I think we had to wait like 10 days for it to charge, for me to be allowed to charge it. So anyone that's thinking about getting this, like, do it.
What would you say to the critics? Like the people who say what we're doing isn't novel or what we're doing is dangerous?
Like, what do they know? Like, look at me. Do I look sick, or outside of my handicap, do I look disabled, like, in any way? Did it, you know, affect my ability to tell awesome jokes? Fun little story. Right out of surgery, the first time I saw my mom, she walked in and I looked at her and I was like, who are you? It lasted about 3 seconds. She looked at the doctors and was like, what did you do? I was like, I'm just kidding, Mom. I'm still paying for that, I think. I've heard a lot of people say a lot of bad things about it. I mean, I was on, you know, X for 5 minutes at one point. People call me the Antichrist and stuff. It's funny, like, because they just don't know how little recovery time it took, how easy the whole process was. This is just, it's such amazing technology, and it was so simple. This thing should be out on the market today.
So do you feel the implant in any way?
I mean, I can feel it when people like bump up against it or something. You can feel it a bit, but not as much as I would have thought. But outside of that, I don't feel it at all, really. Like, very, very minimum impact on my life or anything.
Was there some particular wow moment of amazement that you experienced that you didn't expect at all after all the discussions and implant early trials?
Going into the surgery, I expected it to be, they told me anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. And I don't know if y'all know, it was like under 2, which was just wild to me. I mean, when I first actually moved the cursor with my mind, it, like I said, it blew my mind for like a whole day. I just could not get over it. Like, I knew that this is what the plan was, I guess, like this was the whole goal of it. But I was like, okay, but how, like, real is this? Like, am I actually going to be able to control something with my mind? And when I did, I was like, all right, sounds good to me. That was a pretty big wow moment. The fact that I was breaking records on like day 1, I didn't think that was possible. Whoever held those records before me is probably pissed.
Question, what's a simple, small thing that BCI enabled you to do that you really enjoyed?
I mean, I don't know if y'all would call playing Civ simple or small. When I was able to play that weekend, I think I played it like 2 nights in a row, 7 hours one night, like another few hours, 4 or 5 the next. That was so cool. I obviously really enjoyed that. I spent freaking like 10 hours doing it one weekend. Something I never thought I would be able to do again. I tried playing Civ a few times since my accident. A couple hours, maybe tops, that I was able to do it, and it was frustrating the entire time. Being able to play it while I was in bed, not needing any help from anyone, not needing to be adjusted, not needing to ask, you know, my parents or my brother to get up in the middle of the night and come, you know, help me out. Being able to play it past the time they went to bed, it's life-changing. It really is. It makes being, it's going to sound kind of crazy, but it makes being paralyzed really not that bad. I think I have a really easy life. I just lie around and people do things for me, which is, pretty nice. Anything that makes me more independent, I'm all for. And this is probably going to make people like me the most independent that they might ever be until it all gets cured. Like just thinking about someone, say, breaking their neck, going into a hospital, and 2 days later, like getting surgery, getting an implant, something, 2 days later, walking out. It's such a real possibility now. It makes me like so happy that other people don't have to go through this. It's everything I could have ever asked for, and to be a part of it and to be helping in some way, to be able to be useful in some way, it completely changed how I live. And since I started doing all this, I'm in bed by like 9, 10 p.m. I'm waking up at like 6, 7 in the morning, just excited for the next day. And that's something that I never thought would happen to me ever again. So y'all have given me like a purpose, and it's outside of everything else that I've been able to do, it's more than I could ever ask for. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this Supercut episode. If you're interested in the full version of the speech, I've shared the link down below in the description. And by the way, Noland, Elon, and other Neuralink leaders did an 8.5-hour interview with Lex Friedman. If you're interested in a supercut version of that, check out this video here. My name is Ryan Tanaka. Thanks for watching and subscribing to or following Neura Pod.